The second thing is the October surprise. Now, this is a dirty campaign strategy. You can go to Google, you look it up, October surprise, and it's a crisis you save for the last week, an attack that the other side does not have time to respond, get mailers out, and buy airtime and so forth. Even back in Jimmy Carter's time, the October surprise. But there was a classic one about 10 years ago. They knew about it for a year, that the head of the National Evangelical Association, Ted Haggart, was having homosexual liaisons. They saved it to the last week before the election, and when it came out, especially because he was championing some marriage amendments, this dominated the news cycle, and the conservatives stayed home. Democrats won Congress. They voted Nancy Pelosi in as the speaker. And so it was a classic example of October surprise. And there is evidence that the subprime mortgage crisis was one of these. A friend of mine, Kevin Freeman, wrote a book about how there was manipulation of the stock market and these different options and so forth. And when McCain chose Sarah Palin, enthusiasm was through the roof in the Republican Party. But when the subprime mortgage crisis happened, McCain did what? He called off his campaign, went back and voted for it, never regained the momentum. That could fall into the category of an October surprise. But I've been asking people, I've been doing this for the last year, what they think the October surprise is going to be. I've been in Washington, D.C. many times, and they think anything from class warfare, wanting to have violence break out, maybe with an Occupy Wall Street group, and then some other interesting stories. One is to intentionally put Israel into a position where war breaks out with Iran. And then because of this crisis, the president can say it's an emergency and take control of the radio, TV, and internet, and then make himself the FDR, I'm the savior president, and start usurping all kinds of power. The days click by, election's over, he's back in. Another one is interesting, and that was out of a news service in Canada, as actually some plot on his life that was planned and that could be blamed on these right-wing Tea Party hateful people. And believe it or not, that's a strategy that Stalin used. 1935, Stalin had a Tea Party movement that was starting in the Soviet Union, and he didn't like this. It was anti-Stalinists. And yet Stalin had a supporter that was gaining a little too much attention. His name was Sergei Kirov. And Sergei Kirov loved Stalin, was giving these speeches that he was the liberator of the workers of the world. And so Stalin had a plan. It was to assassinate Sergei Kirov and blame it on the anti-Stalinists. And he used that as an excuse to kill millions of these people. And so this is a strategy. And I think, well, would this happen? I don't know if you can vote to kill innocent babies. What can't you justify?